You want a raise? Ethan, look at yourself. You're a liability, not an asset. Natasha didn't just say it, she laughed, a sharp piercing sound that bounced off the polished concrete walls of her office and hit me right in the chest. It wasn't a chuckle, it was full-blown amusement, as if I had just told the world's funniest joke. I'm serious, I said, my voice tighter than I wanted it to be. I've streamlined the entire back-end architecture. I've saved this company $4 million in server costs just this quarter. I haven't had a salary adjustment in 4 years. Natasha sighed, spinning a pen between her manicured fingers. She was 32, the daughter of the founder's golf buddy, and had been CEO of Strata Systems for exactly 6 months. In that time, she'd managed to alienate half the staff and replace the free coffee in the break room with a vending machine that charged $3 for a bottle of water. Ethan, let's be real, she said, dropping the pen. It clattered loudly on the glass desk. You're 52. You type with 2 fingers when you think no one is looking. You use email like it's a religion. My nephew could write the code you write in his sleep, and he's 12. My hands clenched into fists at my sides. I'd been at Stratos for 19 years. 19. I was here when the office was a garage in San Jose with no AC. I was here when we couldn't make payroll in 2009, and I took a voluntary pay cut so the junior devs didn't have to get fired. Your nephew didn't build the Core 7 redundancy protocol that stopped the system from crashing during the Black Friday surge, I shot back. Ancient history. Natasha waved a hand dismissively. We're pivoting to AI-driven microservices. We need agility, speed, youth. You're expensive furniture, Ethan. Comfortable, sure, but taking up space. She leaned forward, her eyes cold. Here's the offer. You keep your current salary, but we're moving you to the legacy maintenance team. Basement level. No more client meetings, no more architecture decisions. You keep the lights on until you decide to retire. Take it or leave it. And if I leave, she laughed again, that same mocking sound. If you leave, go ahead. I can replace you in a week. Hell, I can probably replace you with a script by Friday. I stood there for a long moment. The hum of the server room down the halls, servers I had personally configured, optimized, and babysat through holidays and anniversaries, vibrated through the floor. A week, I repeated. Maybe less, she smirked. Don't let the door hit you, Grandpa. That was the moment. That exact second. It wasn't heartbreak. It wasn't sadness. It was a cold, hard click in my brain, like a breaker flipping. I didn't yell. I didn't flip the table. I didn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me sweat. I just nodded, picked up my folder, which contained the quarterly report, proving I was the most productive engineer in the entire division, and turned around. Understood, I said. Good, she called out as I reached the door. And Ethan, try to smile more. You look like you're at a funeral. I was, but it wasn't mine. I walked back to my desk. It wasn't an office anymore. They'd taken that away 2 years ago to make room for a meditation pod that nobody used. Now I sat in the open bullpen, surrounded by kids in hoodies who wore noise-canceling headphones and communicated exclusively via memes. My phone buzzed. A text from my wife, Sarah. Generic brand meds again this month? Pharmacy says the copay went up. Love you? My stomach twisted. Sarah has an autoimmune condition. Not life-threatening if managed, but expensive as hell. The insurance premiums Stratos provided had gotten worse every year. The deductibles higher. We were bleeding cash. My son, Leo, was starting engineering school in the fall. Tuition was $48,000 a year. I needed that raise. I needed it desperately. But Natasha thought I was expensive furniture. I sat down and unlocked my workstation. The screens flickered to life. Lines of code, my code, scrolled by. Beautiful, efficient, stable code. People think IT is just typing. They don't understand that complex systems are like living organisms. They have quirks, immune systems, vulnerabilities. I knew every vein and artery of Stratus's infrastructure. I knew where the bodies were buried because I had dug the graves. And I remembered something else. Something vital. 7 years ago, I developed a predictive caching algorithm. It was a side project, something I tinkered with on weekends on my own server at home. It sped up data retrieval by 40%. I brought it to the previous CEO, Mike. He loved it. We implemented it. But here's the thing about Mike, he was handshake deal kind of guy. We never signed a formal IP transfer. I never signed a specific assignment of invention for that piece of code because it was developed 100% on my own equipment, on my own time, before it was ever touched by company servers. Technically, legally, and in every way that mattered, that algorithm was mine. It was the engine that ran their entire high-speed trading platform. I opened a terminal window, My heart was hammering against my ribs, but my hands were steady. I wasn't going to delete anything. That's illegal. That's amateur hour. No. I was going to do something much worse. I was going to leave, and I was going to take my toys with me. But first, I needed an exit strategy. I pulled up LinkedIn. I hadn't updated it in 3 years. I typed in a name, Marcus Thorne. Marcus was the CTO of Omnitech, our biggest, fiercest competitor. He'd tried to poach me 5 years ago, but I stayed out of loyalty. Loyalty? God, the word tasted like ash in my mouth now. I sent a direct message. You still looking for a lead architect? We need to talk. Today. The response came in 3 minutes. Dinner, 7 p.m., the Capitol Grill. Bring your appetite. I spent the rest of the afternoon documenting everything, not for Stratos for me. I downloaded my original commit logs from my private GitHub, time-stamped from 2018. I saved the emails where I explicitly stated to Mike that this was personal IP I was licensing to the company for testing. I gathered the evidence that proved the Stratos Speed Engine was actually the Ethan Miller weekend project. At 5 model p.m., I packed my bag. I took the picture of Sarah and Leo. I took my lucky stapler. I took my mug. Heading out early, old-timer? Jason, a 24-year-old junior dev, smirked at me over his dual monitors. Don't break a hip on the way to the car. Have a good weekend, Jason, I said, my voice eerily calm. Make sure you check the load balancers. They get twitchy on Fridays. Yeah, I know how to do my job. He rolled his eyes. He didn't. He really didn't. At 7:00 p.m., I was sitting across from Marcus Thorne. Marcus looked like a shark in a tailored suit, but he had respectful eyes. 19 years, Marcus said, swirling his scotch. I thought you'd die at that desk, Ethan. What changed? New leadership, I said. Natasha thinks experience is a liability. She told me she could replace me in a week. Marcus threw his head back and laughed. It was a deep, booming sound, very different from Natasha's shrill mockery. A week? To replace you? I've been trying to replicate your latency numbers for 3 years, and I can't get within 15%. A week? She's delusional. She refused my raise. Actually, she demoted me. Marcus stopped laughing. He leaned in, his face serious. Okay, let's cut the dance. I know what you're worth. I've known for a decade. Come to Omnitech. Title, VP of Infrastructure. Base salary, $280,000. Signing bonus, $50,000. Full benefits, 100% covered for the family. And stock options. The number made my head spin. It was nearly double what I was making at Stratos. It solved everything. The medical bills, Leo's tuition, the crushing weight on my chest. There's one catch, I said, pulling a thumb drive from my pocket. I come with baggage, but it's good baggage. Oh? The caching algorithm Stratos uses? It's not theirs. It's mine. I have the documentation to prove it. They've been using it on a verbal license effectively. If I leave, I'm revoking that license. Marcus's eyes widened. He looked at the drive, then back at me. A slow, predatory smile spread across his face. You own the engine? I own the engine. Ethan, Marcus said, raising his glass. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. We signed the paperwork right there on the table. No hesitation. No, let me check with HR. Marcus knew a kill shot when he saw one. Monday morning, I walked into Natasha's office. It was 8:55 a.m. She was drinking a green smoothie and scrolling through Instagram. I didn't summon you, she said without looking up. You didn't have to. I'm resigning. Effective immediately. I placed the letter on her desk. She scoffed, finally looking at me. Immediate resignation? You know you forfeit your severance if you don't give 2 weeks. I don't care about the severance. Fine, she waved a hand. Leave. Like I said, easy replacement. Just leave your badge at the front desk, and don't expect a reference. I won't need one. I start as VP at Omnitech tomorrow. That stopped her. The smoothie cup paused halfway to her mouth. Omnitech? You? She let out a short, incredulous breath. What are they doing? Opening a museum? They're upgrading their infrastructure, I said. Oh, and Natasha? You should have your legal team look at the IP addendums regarding the caching algorithm on the main trading cluster. You're going to be receiving a cease and desist order by noon. What are you talking about? Her brow furrowed. Everything you wrote belongs to us. Check the dates, I said, allowing myself a small, cold smile. And check the employment contract from 2005. It specifically excluded pre-existing personal projects. The engine is mine, and I'm taking it with me. I walked out. I didn't look back. I didn't say goodbye to Jason or the other kids. I just walked out into the sunlight and breathed fresh air for the first time in years. The chaos didn't start immediately. It took about 3 days. I was settling into my new office at Omnitech, a real office with a door and a view of the city, when my phone started blowing up. First, it was Jason. "Dude, what did you do? The latency is spiking. The servers are crawling. 404 errors everywhere." Then, the sysadmin, a good guy named Patel. "Ethan, please pick up. We can't access the core logic blocks. The system is rejecting the keys. Did you lock us out?" I hadn't locked them out. I had simply removed the API keys from my personal server that the algorithm called home. I wasn't hosting their traffic for free anymore. Then, the emails started. Automated alerts from Stratos systems that were still routed to my personal email as a backup. Critical failure. Database timeout. Transaction failed. By Friday. The day Natasha claimed she could replace me, Stratos was in meltdown. Their trading platform, which relied on millisecond execution, was lagging by 3-4 seconds. In the finance world, that's an eternity. Clients were losing millions. At 2 p.m. on Friday, my new assistant buzzed me. "Mr. Miller, there's a Natasha Vance on line 1. She says it's an emergency." I looked at Marcus, who was sitting on my couch reviewing some projections. He grinned and nodded. "Put it on speaker." I pressed the button. "This is Ethan." "Ethan!" Her voice was shrill, panicked. The arrogant drawl was gone, replaced by pure terror. "You need to come back, now. Fix this." "I can't do that, Natasha. I don't work for Stratos anymore." "This is illegal. You sabotaged us. I'm going to sue you for everything you have." "Yes, that's actually," I said, leaning back in my ergonomic chair, A. Herman Miller, fully paid for by Omnitech. "My lawyers sent over the documentation 3 days ago. Your legal team has already reviewed it. They know I'm right. You're using my stolen property. If you want to use the algorithm, you need to license it, from Omnitech." There was a silence on the line, heavy, breathing silence. "How much?" she whispered. "We're not licensing it to you," Marcus chimed in, his voice smooth as silk. "We're keeping it exclusive, competitive advantage, you know." "Who is that?" Natasha snapped. "That's my boss," I said, "the one who values experience." "Ethan, please," her voice cracked. "We're losing clients. Bank of America just threatened to pull their contract. If we don't fix the latency by Monday, we're dead. I can offer you your job back, the raise, the full 6%. I laughed. It bubbled up out of me, loud and genuine. 6%? Natasha, I make double my old salary now, and I'm treated like a human being. I wouldn't come back to Stratos if you gave me the entire company. "I'll fire Jason," she pleaded. "I'll give you the corner office. Please, Ethan, I'm going to lose my job." "You said everyone is replaceable," I reminded her. "Remember? I can replace you in a week." "Well, it's been a week. How's that going?" "Ethan." I hung up. The fallout was spectacular. Without the speed advantage, Stratos couldn't compete. Their biggest clients jumped ship to Omnitech within the month because, surprise, surprise, our systems were now 40% faster than anyone else's. Stratos tried to patch the hole. They hired a team of expensive consultants to rewrite the back end. It took them 4 months and cost millions. By then, the bleeding was irreversible. Their reputation was trash. 6 months later, I was driving my new Tesla, a gift to myself, to pick up Leo from the airport. He was home for break, talking about his classes, looking happy. The tuition was paid in full. Sarah's treatment was fully covered by the platinum insurance Omnitech provided. She looked healthier than she had in years. I pulled up to a red light and glanced at the newsstand on the corner. A tech magazine cover caught my eye. The Fall of Stratos, How Arrogance Killed a Tech Giant. I bought a copy. The article detailed the collapse. The board had fired Natasha 3 months after I left. Stratos was currently being parted out, sold for scraps. Omnitech bought their client list for pennies on the dollar. But the best part? The very last paragraph. It mentioned that Natasha Vance was currently facing lawsuits from shareholders for gross negligence. She had been blacklisted from executive roles in the Valley. The last rumor was that she was managing a car rental branch in Sacramento. I got back in the car and tossed the magazine in the back seat. "Everything okay, Dad?" Leo asked. "Yeah," I smiled, putting the car in gear. "Everything is perfect." I thought about that moment in her office, the laughter, the week to replace you. She was right about one thing. It only took a week. It took a week for them to realize that the expensive furniture was actually the load-bearing wall holding the whole building up. And once you knock that down, no amount of panicked screaming can stop the roof from caving in. I'm 53 now. My hair is grayer. I still type with 2 fingers sometimes, but nobody laughs. When I speak in meetings, the room goes silent. The young kids listen. They take notes. Because they know. They know that while youth might run fast, experience knows the shortcuts. And you never ever kick the person who holds the keys to the castle. They learn the easy way. Natasha learned the hard way. And me? I'm just enjoying the view from the top. The coffee here is free, and it tastes like victory.